Hello, ESCBubble. I'm Sophie, and I'm here at the Water Rats in London, ready for Eurostarz in concert tonight. And I'm here with Marc Roberts. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Thank you. So, we're going to start with a question that I think a lot of us in the room are wondering. As you can probably tell, a lot of us grew up watching Eurovision in the late noughties, early 2010s.
Okay.
So, what was Eurovision like back in 1997?
Back when people had electricity or no electricity. It was probably the same as it is now in lots of ways. It was still as huge. It was still, everybody watched it. It was still the biggest thing that could happen in your country. To get to represent your country was still the biggest thing in the world ever. The only thing that has changed, my year was the very first year that they introduced televoting. So, and they did it as a trial just to see. Don't forget, this sounds really old. I was only 10 when I did Eurovision. But 1996, the internet happened. So 1997 there was nothing. There was no social media. It literally was a case of you did every TV show and you did every party on the week of Eurovision, and that was it. Nobody heard the song. Like everybody in the UK knew the UK song, everybody in Ireland knew the Irish song, but that was it. We had no idea until the week of Eurovision what to expect.
It's crazy, especially for us who kind of follow it from
the
minute it ends to the minute it begins now.
It was just so different. And I made a conscious decision not to listen to the other songs on the week coming up to Eurovision. So I had no idea what to expect. All I knew was that I was tipped to win, which was scary because we'd won it so many times. Yeah. Paddy Powers, which is like the local bookmakers where they do all the betting, they had given me top points to win. And then everybody in RTE, which is the Irish broadcaster, they were saying, don't win, we can't afford this. Because we won it the 3 years before. Yeah. So it was like, what do you want me to do? To go out and sing a bum note or something? I wouldn't. But so that's what it was like. It was really, really different. And it cost an absolute fortune. And again, the graphics were totally different. You can do so much now with an LED screen, but we didn't have any of that. So it was a big deal.
Do you have any kind of favourite memories of your time on the stage or during the lead up?
The one story that people always ask me to remind them on the actual day. I mean, I had been told that the most important thing was the final dress rehearsal on the day because that's what's being judged. That's your performance. And, you know, the way they broadcast the two simultaneously. I think they still do, but they always did, just in case something happened. So the other one just kicks in and nobody's any the wiser. So when I got the first one done, I was right. Like there was 26 countries and I was the Irish representative. So there was 26 parties, right? Of which you couldn't drink. You couldn't talk too much because there was no voice left.
Yeah.
So we had 3 parties every night. So I was kind of finishing at 2:00 in the morning and then starting again at 6:30 in the morning, doing more interviews, more radio, more television. Just to remind people, because we had no social media.
Yeah,
this is what you had to do. But when I finished the first dress rehearsal and came back to the hotel, I lay into bed and I fell asleep. And I got a call from the manager of the hotel hours later saying, Mr. Roberts, would you like a customary glass of champagne before the bus leaves? And I said, what time is the bus leaving? And he said, 10 minutes. So I literally ran into the shower, ran downstairs, met the international press with my hair all wet. And literally got to the gig and that was it. That's how relaxed I was for the actual event. It was fine.
Yeah, so you weren't nervous at all getting on the stage?
No, I always would be, and I was to a point. But to be honest with you, there were so many people dragging out of me for weeks.
Yeah. There's
so much to do. I mean, now there's so much you can do like this in your studio today. We couldn't do anything like that. So everything was just so different. You had to drive miles, you had to meet people, you had to do interviews, you had to do them in advance. You had so many things that way that now you can do in an instant. We couldn't. So I kind of, by the time it came to sing the 3 minutes, I thought, God, brilliant. Just leave me alone. Let me do what I do.
Yeah.
And that was it. That's one of my major memories of it.
Would you ever kind of, I know you entered the Irish selection in 2008.
Yeah.
Right? Would you ever kind of, we're not going to go in on the turkey.
No.
But would you ever kind of throw your hat in the ring again now that you can see that artists in kind of more modern Eurovisions get that kind of support from the public? on social media and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I still have to say the Eurovision fans have been unbelievable for me, and it's 26 years ago. They still keep in touch. They still ask me what I'm doing. They're still interested. I love them to bits for that, because it's just such an amazing career to have. That association is always there. I mean, I remember being invited into BBC in Birmingham by a friend of mine, and in the space of 2 minutes, when they heard that I came second in 97, it was, oh my God, the song. And instantly they had the video on YouTube. 3 minutes later, we were doing selfies. You know, so they never forget, and they always want to know what it was like, and it's just the honour of having done it. Would I do it again? I don't think so. Maybe as a writer. But I'd say it's not a problem, but I find Ireland for the last, almost since I did Eurovision, have been sending performers first and then a song.
Right.
I always say it's a song contest. We always did so well because we had songs that were so different, but they were really great songs. And then we got somebody to interpret the song and perform them. And that was the winning combination.
Yeah.
But for the last couple of years, it's been just selecting a really good singer and then kind of going, oh, well, what did they say?
Yeah. That was a question I was actually going to ask you, because I'm sorry to bring up a bit of a soft spot, but as we know, Ireland haven't qualified since 2018 now, I believe. So that would be your advice for...
Big time. I'm tired saying it. For years, the only reason I went back in 2008 with the whole Dustin saga was because RTE contacted my manager and said, Marc did so well, the fans still know him and still support him. Would he not do something again? And we started to think, well, this is the first time that they had decided to pick a song and then to get a singer. And I thought, well, that's more like it. So I entered the song Chances, and they announced the winners, the qualifiers. Ireland has a great sense of humour. Everyone thought it was a great idea, I'd say. People were sitting in the pubs going, we'll send the turkey. But send the turkey, that's fine. But I always say, if Johnny Logan sang that song, would it have gotten through?
Yeah.
You know, it was just the novelty, nothing else. So it was a little bit disheartening, but I mean, even since then, I got the support of the fans. Every time I release something, it's shared by all of the Eurovision sites, and people still come back and say, the first question you asked me, what was it like then?
Yeah.
You know, it was still such a big deal. In fact, in ways, it was probably bigger, because you had to crack open your little country into the rest of Europe, you know. And I have toured Australia a couple of times, and then we have the Australian fans on.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. We all still keep in touch. I'm still great friends with Johnny Logan and Eve Kavanagh and Charlie McGettigan. And I'm doing a show with Dana coming up at Christmas time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I tell you said hi. But yeah, so we all keep in touch, and we all love the very fact that we have this little community that we did well in.
No, that's nice.
Yeah,
so you watched this year's contest.
I did.
Did you have any standout favourites?
I love the song that won. I was kind of convinced. There was a few. Now, if you asked me close to the time, I would have remembered the names. But just in case any of them are watching, I won't go into names.
Okay. We'll protect your image.
Yeah. But there were a couple of really catchy songs. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, that's good enough. We'll take that.
I think you know the ones I'm on about.
So I know that you did a tribute album to John Denver. I was wondering, because we don't see a lot of kind of country music at Eurovision, would you like to see a bit more of that, maybe?
I really don't mind, in the sense.
You into a bit of everything?
Yeah. I just love music, and I think a good song, it can be thrash metal, it can be hip hop, it can be rap.
Yeah.
I really don't care if it's done well and it's a good song. The John Denver thing came out of the fact that since I was a kid, my mum always said to me, you sound like John Denver. Why don't you learn some of the songs? I never really did until I went to college, and then I discovered everybody knew Take Me Home Country Roads. Yeah. And it's been huge for me. We've toured it all over the world. We were even invited to do it in Aspen in Colorado, in his hometown. Wow. And I met John Denver back in 95, just 2 years before he was killed. And we were doing a show in Dusseldorf the night that he was killed. And the second half of the show, I just did all John Denver songs, and the crowd loved it. Oh. They're just great songs. Yeah. To me, it's all about the song. Yeah. That's why I think I fell in love with Eurovision when I did. It's all about a good song. Yeah. Everything. I think we can all agree on that in this room. Yeah, no, it is. It's just all about... And like Eurovision being what it is, it was 3 minutes. Yeah. 2:59, 3:01 and you're out. Do you know what I mean? You have so much to get into that 3 minutes. It's just fantastic. And it just proves a good song can be done in 3 minutes. Yeah.
Definitely. If any Irish hopefuls are listening, take this advice.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll see you in the final again next year.
Well, please God,
Please.
I know we should. We should.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's
My
been lovely
pleasure,
talking to you.
Sophie. Lovely to chat to you, and a big shout out to everybody involved. Yeah.
And hopefully your performance goes well later. We'll be watching.
Good. Look forward to it.
Thank you.